They say family is forever. But for Emma, that word stopped meaning anything the day her mother sent her that message. It was a Sunday morning, quiet, warm, and ordinary. Emma was sitting on her small balcony, sipping coffee, scrolling through her phone, when a new text appeared from her mom. She smiled for a second, thinking maybe it was something good. Maybe an apology. Maybe a come home. But instead the message said, "We've all agreed you're no longer part of this family. Don't come here again." Emma froze. She stared at her screen, reading it again and again, hoping maybe she had misunderstood the words. But she hadn't. They were as sharp and cold as they looked. No explanation. No goodbye. Just rejection, clean and final. Her hand trembled as she typed back only one word. "Okay." That was it. No fight, no begging, no tears. Just silence. Because somewhere deep down, she knew this was coming. It had started months ago, right after her grandmother passed away. Grandma Eleanor was the heart of the family. Her house smelled of freshly baked cookies and garden roses. Every Sunday, everyone would gather around her wooden dining table, laughing, arguing, eating too much, being a family. But after her passing, that warmth disappeared. Her mother took control of everything. The funeral, the house, the savings. And she made it clear that Emma's opinion didn't matter anymore. When Emma asked if she could at least have one of Grandma's old books, her mother's voice turned cold. "She didn't leave anything for you. So stop asking." Those words cut deeper than Emma wanted to admit. Her grandmother had always loved her. They used to spend hours talking about dreams, kindness, and life. Grandma used to say, "Never let the world turn your heart bitter, Emma. A kind heart will always find its way home." Now that voice was gone, and all that was left was silence, and that text message that ended it all. After that, Emma packed a small bag, moved to another city, and found a job in a quiet cafe near the train station. She worked double shifts, studied at night, and tried her best to forget. Every night, when she came home tired and alone, she whispered the same words her grandmother used to say. It was the only thing that gave her peace. Months passed. No calls from home. Not even a happy birthday. She thought they had erased her completely. And maybe they had, until one morning changed everything. Emma had just opened her laptop when a new email appeared. The subject line made her heart stop. Regarding the estate of Mrs. Eleanor Hayes. Her grandmother's name. She clicked it immediately. It was from a law firm called Hayes and Partners. The message read, "Dear Miss Emma Hayes, we have been trying to contact you regarding the estate of the late Mrs. Eleanor Hayes. You have been listed as a beneficiary in her will. Please confirm your presence at the official reading this Friday." Emma blinked at the screen, not believing what she was reading. A beneficiary. Her. Her mother had said her grandmother left nothing. So how could this be possible? Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone and called the number at the bottom. "Hayes and Partners Law Office. This is Mr. Lewis speaking." "Hello," Emma said quietly. "I'm Emma Hayes. I just got an email about my grandmother's will." The man paused for a moment. "Ah, Miss Hayes. We've been waiting to reach you. Your grandmother left specific instructions for you to be present. Please don't miss the hearing." Emma's voice barely came out. "But my mother said she handled everything already." Mr. Lewis replied calmly. "There was a private will prepared 6 months before your grandmother's passing. Only the court and our firm are aware of its contents. I strongly suggest you attend." Emma sat in silence for a few seconds before whispering, "I'll be there." That night she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her grandmother's smile, her wrinkled hands holding hers, her voice saying, "A kind heart always finds its way home." Friday arrived faster than she expected. She woke early, got dressed in her simplest white blouse, and stood in front of the mirror, trying to calm her shaking hands. She wasn't nervous about what the will said. She was nervous about seeing her family again. When she entered the courthouse, Her heart sank. Her mother, father, and sister were already there. They turned the moment they saw her. Her mother raised her eyebrows. Her sister chuckled. Her father didn't even look up. "Well, look who decided to show up," her mother said quietly, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You're wasting your time, Emma. You're not getting anything." Emma didn't answer. She just walked to the back and sat quietly. Moments later, the lawyer entered, holding a brown folder. He greeted everyone politely and sat down. "Thank you for being here," he said. "We are gathered for the official reading of the last will and testament of Mrs. Eleanor Hayes." The room fell silent. Emma's mother crossed her arms. Her sister leaned forward, eager to hear what was inside. Mr. Lewis adjusted his glasses and began to read. "To my daughter, Margaret. I hope you remember that love is more than control. To my granddaughter, Clara. May you find happiness beyond appearances. And to my granddaughter, Emma." Everyone's heads turned toward her. "Emma, you were the only one who listened when I spoke from the heart. You showed kindness when it wasn't returned. And you made me proud to be your grandmother." Emma's eyes filled with tears. Her mother looked stunned. Her sister frowned in confusion. Mr. Lewis continued. "As for my home, the house where love lived, where my family was born and raised, I leave it entirely to Emma Hayes." The room froze. For a full 5 seconds no one moved. Then her mother laughed. A sharp, bitter laugh that echoed across the room. "This has to be a mistake," she said. "She must have meant Clara." Mr. Lewis shook his head. "The document is legally verified. Mrs. Hayes's house now belongs to Emma." Emma sat there speechless, her eyes wide, her hands trembling. Her mother's smile slowly faded, replaced by disbelief. Her sister stared in silence. For the first time, Emma didn't say anything to defend herself. She just sat quietly. Because she finally realized her grandmother was right all along. A kind heart always finds its way home. The room stayed frozen. No one breathed, no one spoke. Only the ticking clock on the courtroom wall dared to make a sound. Emma looked at her hands, still trembling on her lap. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she kept her face calm. She didn't gloat, didn't smile, she just sat there quietly, feeling the warmth of her grandmother's memory wrap around her like a shield. Her mother broke the silence first. "This is absurd," she snapped. "Eleanor would never do this. She loved me." Mr. Lewis kept his voice calm. "Mrs. Hayes was of sound mind when she signed this document. We have medical and legal witnesses confirming that." Clara leaned forward, her face pale. "Mom, maybe Grandma had her reasons." Her mother turned sharply. "What reasons? That girl abandoned us. She left when we needed her most." Emma's voice was soft but steady. "No, Mom. You told me to leave." Her mother's eyes flickered, anger meeting guilt. For a moment she said nothing. Mr. Lewis continued, reading the last section of the will. "Finally, to my entire family, I leave one final message. Money fades, houses crumble, but hearts, when pure, last forever. Treat each other kindly, or the house will remain a home only for ghosts." Then he closed the folder. "That concludes the reading." The air in the room felt heavy. Her mother stood up abruptly, grabbing her purse. "This is a joke. I'll contest it." Mr. Lewis shook his head. "You're free to try, but the will is ironclad." She glared at Emma one last time and stormed out. Clara followed her but stopped for a brief moment near the door. She looked back at Emma, eyes uncertain. "I didn't know Grandma did this," she whispered. "I know," Emma said softly. "She did it for love, not revenge." Clara hesitated, then left. And just like that, the courtroom was empty except for Emma and Mr. Lewis. He smiled kindly. "Your grandmother cared deeply for you. She planned every detail carefully." Emma nodded, wiping a small tear. "She always kept her promises." Mr. Lewis handed her an envelope. "She also left you this. Said you'd know when to open it." Emma took it gently, feeling the familiar handwriting on the front. For my Emma. That evening, she returned to the old house. The sun was setting, casting gold light across the garden roses. The gate creaked as she pushed it open. Everything looked the same. The porch swing, the ivy on the walls, the tiny birdhouse by the window. She could almost hear her grandmother humming inside. She unlocked the door and stepped in. The scent hit her immediately. Lavender, old books, and a hint of cookies. It was like time hadn't moved at all. In the living room, sunlight poured through the curtains, illuminating the same piano her grandmother used to play. Emma sat down and ran her fingers across the keys, pressing one softly. The sound echoed through the empty house. Fragile, beautiful, alive. She sat there for a long time before opening the envelope. Inside was a single handwritten letter. My dearest Emma, I know this will hurt before it heals. Your mother and sister have lost themselves in things that don't matter. Money, pride, control. But you, my love, never did. That is why I leave you this house. Not as property, but as a reminder of what family should be. Don't close the door to them forever. Let time teach them what love really means. Until then, fill this home with peace, laughter, and kindness. Love always, Grandma. Tears rolled down Emma's cheeks. She pressed the letter to her heart and smiled through the pain. For the first time in years, she didn't feel abandoned. She felt seen, loved, remembered. She spent the next few days cleaning the house, dusting shelves, watering roses, opening old curtains. The house seemed to breathe again. Each corner carried a memory. Birthday candles, family dinners, quiet evenings by the fire. She realized her grandmother hadn't just given her a home. She had given her a second chance. One evening, while Emma was painting the front porch, car stopped outside. She turned and saw her mother standing by the gate. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then, slowly, her mother walked up the steps. I wasn't sure you'd want to see me, she said quietly. Emma put the paintbrush down. I didn't think you'd come. Her mother sighed. I read Grandma's letter. Mr. Lewis sent me a copy. Her voice broke. She was right. I let pride ruin everything. Emma didn't say anything. The years of hurt couldn't vanish instantly. But something inside her softened. Her mother looked around the house, tears in her eyes. She loved this place more than anything. I'm glad it's with you. She made the right choice. Emma stepped forward. I don't want to live in hate anymore, Mom. If you're ready to be family again, this house will always have room. Her mother covered her mouth, crying quietly. Then she whispered, I'm sorry. Emma nodded. I know. They stood there in silence. Two broken hearts finally finding their way back home. The sun dipped below the horizon, and for the first time in years, warm light filled the house again. In that moment, Emma finally understood her grandmother's words. Kind hearts may bend, but they never break. Weeks passed after that day. The air around the old house felt different now. Lighter, warmer, almost forgiving. Emma found herself smiling more often as she worked on the little things Grandma had left behind. A chipped vase she glued back together. An old quilt she washed and folded. A photo frame she polished until her grandmother's smile seemed to glow again. Every corner whispered memories. And slowly, those whispers turned into comfort. One morning, as sunlight filtered through the lace curtains, Emma heard a knock on the door. When she opened it, she saw Clara standing there, holding a small basket of muffins. Hi, Clara said, her voice timid. I wasn't sure if I should come. Emma smiled softly. You came. That's enough. Clara looked around the porch, taking in the fresh paint and flower pots. It looks like Grandma's house again, she said quietly. That's what I wanted, Emma replied. They sat on the porch swing together, the same one where they used to eat ice cream as little girls. For a while neither spoke. Then Clara took a deep breath. Mom's been different lately, she said. She talks less but she listens more. I think she really wants to fix things. Emma looked down at her hands. I want that too. I just don't know if we can ever go back. Clara shook her head. Maybe not back, but maybe forward. The words stayed with Emma long after Clara left. That night, she sat by the fireplace with Grandma's letter in her lap. The last line echoed in her mind. Fill this home with peace, laughter, and kindness. She looked around the quiet room and whispered, I'm trying, Grandma. I really am. A few weeks later, the neighborhood began to notice the transformation. The garden bloomed again. Children laughed as they helped Emma plant new rose bushes. Neighbors stopped by with pies, just like in the old days. And every time Emma smiled, people said they could see a little of her grandmother in her eyes. Her mother started visiting too. Slowly, cautiously. First just for tea. Then for dinners. One evening, as the three women sat around the dining table, the conversation drifted toward Grandma Eleanor. She always said this house had a soul, her mother murmured. She believed homes remember love. Emma nodded. Maybe that's why it still feels alive. Clara smiled faintly. She'd be proud of us, you know. Her mother looked down at her teacup. I wasn't proud of myself for a long time. But watching you rebuild this place, it made me realize what I destroyed, and what I almost lost. Emma reached across the table, gently taking her mother's hand. We can start over, she said softly. Her mother squeezed her hand back, tears in her eyes. I'd like that. Months turned into a year. The seasons changed, but the warmth inside that house never faded. Emma opened a small art studio in the living room, something she'd always dreamed of. Clara helped her decorate it with soft lights and wooden frames. Sometimes children from the neighborhood came to paint or learn. Emma would smile and tell them stories about the woman who once filled this house with love and cookies. They called it the Eleanor Home Studio. And every time someone asked why it was named that, Emma would simply say, because this house taught me what family really means. Her mother became her biggest supporter. She'd drop by with fresh bread or just to sit quietly and watch the kids paint. Sometimes she'd apologize again, but Emma always stopped her. You've already said sorry, Mom. Now let's live the apology. One autumn afternoon, while raking the garden, Emma found something shiny buried near the rose bush. It was a small locket, her grandmother's old one. Inside was a faded photo of Emma as a child, hugging her grandmother. On the other side was a tiny note, folded carefully. She opened it and it read, when the time feels right, you'll know that love was always waiting at home. Emma smiled, tears filling her eyes again. It felt like one final message from the woman who had been the anchor of their lives. She wore the locket every day after that, not as jewelry but as a promise. Years later, the once broken family gathered in that same house every holiday. Children ran through the halls. Laughter filled every corner. The walls that had once echoed with silence now sang with life. One evening, as Emma stood by the porch, Clara joined her with 2 cups of coffee. Do you ever think about how far we've come? Clara asked. Emma smiled, looking out at the sunset. All the time. I think Grandma would finally be at peace. Clara chuckled. She'd probably say, about time you girls stopped fighting. They both laughed, their voices blending with the soft hum of evening crickets. Inside, their mother sat on the couch, flipping through an old photo album. She looked up at her daughters, smiling quietly, and whispered to herself, Thank you, Mom, for giving me one more chance. The story of that house spread quietly through the town. Not because of the inheritance, not because of money, but because it reminded people of something deeper. That love, when genuine, can heal even the deepest cracks. Emma hung a wooden sign over the door that read, Home is not where you live. It's where hearts find their way back. And every person who crossed that doorstep felt it. The warmth, the forgiveness, the quiet strength of a family reborn. In the end, Emma didn't just inherit a house. She inherited her grandmother's legacy. A legacy of love that refused to fade, even when everything else did.